Yo, yo, yo. What's up, everybody? Good, chilly, freezing, cold morning. Happy Sunday. Hope everybody's doing well. It's gonna be another chill day, dude. We're not gonna be doing a whole lot of anything else besides video gaming news and some chill FPS stuff. Probably just having a chill weekend. We'll get back into Fallout New Vegas tomorrow, and today we'll just be having some more fun. I've been enjoying the past couple of days of just doing some FPS stuff and relaxing a little bit. So it feels good to just do this kind of stuff after doing some long playthroughs and everything. So getting in the mood to get in and finish Fallout New Vegas, and it'll be good. We'll get in there and we'll get it done tomorrow. Cool. So or we'll begin the end, if you will, of Fallout New Vegas. I think we've got all the DLC finished at this point, and it'll be just kind of pushing towards the end of the base game, and it should be good. But today will probably just be maybe some Shatterline, trying out Shatterline. We haven't been in there in a long time, and probably a lot of BattleBit, but we can't get there without doing the news, baby. So let's go ahead and do what we do. Let's get in there and see what's happening in the world of video games. Let's go. Let's do it. We've already talked about all that stuff. There's nothing really there to hit on that we haven't already talked about or that we didn't already know. Yep, since that came up already, you can grab Self-Worth right now, free on Epic Games. So go, if you don't already have an account, you should go make an account to start getting your free games each week. If you didn't already do it, like I was trying to tell everybody they should during the holiday giveaways, well, better late than never, I guess. So free games, get on Epic, start an account, grab your free games, which pop off every single week. Right now, from now between the 18th, which is next Thursday, you can get Self-Worth for free. And then on next Thursday morning, Self-Worth will no longer be available, and Love will take its place as the new free game. So get your free games. Go do it. It's a no-brainer. Gears of War collection being tested? What? Well, let's see what's going on there. There we go. That's better. That's better. All right. Our music was not working correctly, so now that we got that fixed up, let's go. Classic Star Wars game returns on PS4 and PS5. Let's see what this is. We've already talked about the Game Pass games coming. Steam deal makes over 20 games under $1 each. Fanatical deal. Okay, let's see what they got going on over at Fanatical. Warzone walks back controversial new feature before it even releases. Let's see what was going on there. Everything we know about Luigi's Mansion 2 HD. Double Loop Games is closing down after 4 years. What is this? Have we already talked about this? Yeah, Felix the Cat. We already talked about this. Same thing. Yeah, both games and layoffs are off to a running start in 2024, unfortunately. Much of the same that we had last year. Smite 2 got announced. We already talked about that. Kind of got leaked, or not leaked necessarily, but it was kind of tipped off that they might be announcing that, and they in fact did, like yesterday or the day before. What else do we have? There we go. Look, I've already seen a few articles this morning talking about how the next, you know, what we're hearing about the next Battlefield game is promising and da-da-da. The only thing we have to go off of is what they have, you know, the most recent products they've given us. And DICE and EA, the most recent Battlefield games they've given us, especially the most recent one, was a hot piece of garbage. And therefore, my advice to people is, if you need a Battlefield-esque experience, go play BattleBit. It's a poly game, yes. The graphical fidelity of the game is not going to be to the same extent of something like Call of Duty or Battlefield, but the gameplay is absolutely there. The gameplay is a lot of fun. It's very fleshed out. There's rank ups. There's all kinds of weapons with attachments. The more you play with weapons, the more you rank up the weapons as well. There's vehicles in the game, stuff like that. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of different play modes, you know, big, nice maps, destructible environment. BattleBit is a banger of a game, and it's cheap. It was designed and developed by 3 individuals. You know, it deserves the love over something that has been become a schemaz of a game like Battlefield. So, until DICE and EA actually show us that they can be better in the future, I won't believe it. And I will continue to advise people that they should go play alternate games such as BattleBit. BattleBit Remastered is a fantastic piece of gaming software. We will probably be playing it today. Apparently, Microsoft is now the world's most valuable company. Trading at a market cap of $2.87 trillion. Younger creators could lead Final Fantasy 17, producer says. As long as whoever was in charge of Final Fantasy 16 is not going to be leading it, I think that why not give it a shot? Couldn't be worse. Well, it could. It could be worse. But Final Fantasy 16 wasn't a Final Fantasy game, and that sucks. It feels bad, you know? Xbox has banned users from uploading their steamy sex scenes from Baldur's Gate 3. So, not going to be able to get a look at the... I'm pretty sure there's actually the potential of... Well, we didn't see it in our playthrough, but the potential of some... getting down with maybe a druid that's actually in a beast form. As well as in our playthrough, we actually did have an encounter with an illithid, which was pretty wild. The game is crazy, dude. It's really nuts. We've talked about the Konami games coming again. I'm not gonna dive back into that. Sandland we've talked about. I love the fact that as soon as Steamboat Mickey, that version of Mickey Mouse, Steamboat Mickey, hit public domain because it had been so long that it could no longer be like, what is it, like, could no longer be like a private licensed piece of entertainment or whatever. That it just immediately became a huge thing to be incorporated into horror entertainment. That's hilarious. Huh. Cemetery Kids Don't Die? Interesting. I'll have to look into that. That's a comic. Let's go one more page here.
It's time to get up off your knees. And get up on your feet.
Yeah, we already talked about the new DualSense controller with a bigger battery as well. It's about time. Imagine that. Another company backing out of the NFT space because people are finally realizing it's just a big scam. And for the companies, it's not lucrative anymore. All right, let's stick with this, dude. We don't have a lot of news this morning, but that's okay. We'll just get through what we got, and then we'll go play games, man. That's cool. Younger creators could lead. Final Fantasy 17 producers suggest it would be good to look to the future and bring in a younger generation. I think that's absolutely appropriate and absolutely fine, as long as Square Enix gets back to the core of what a Final Fantasy game is supposed to be, which is in large part what they moved away from with Final Fantasy 16, which is why I don't think it did very well. Final Fantasy 16 producer Naoki Yoshida has suggested the next game in the series could be helmed by a younger generation of creators. Speaking to Sony's Shuhei Yoshida in an Academy of Interactive Arts and Sciences interview, Yoshida was asked if he would be directing Final Fantasy 17. "I'm on the board of directors now, so I really need to watch what I say here," he replied. "For the moment, I'll just say that nothing's been decided yet." That said, if I had to say anything about that, I've had the chance to work on 2 of these games. That would be 14 and 16. Yeah. So maybe it's time for someone new, you know? Instead of having the same old guys handle the next game, I think in some ways it would be good to look to the future and bring in a younger generation with more youthful sensibilities to make a new Final Fantasy with challenges that suit today's world. Yoshida was then asked what advice he would give a younger director working on Final Fantasy 17. Quote, "Well, basically, and this is the same for the father of the series, Sakaguchi, and for Kitase, who's currently brand manager for the Final Fantasy series. Final Fantasy is about challenging what's been done before." I don't necessarily look. I think this is gaming as a whole. Video gaming as a whole is about evolution and challenging what has been done previously and evolving, right? Absolutely. I don't disagree with that. But there is something to be said for sticking to the roots of something that has garnered such a huge fan base, right? Whether you want to talk about a series continuing on as long as Final Fantasy has, or you want to talk about bringing games back into modern gaming that are iconic and have been, have kind of like a cult following that got lost and hadn't seen in roughly 15 to 20 years. There's something to be said for making sure that you maintain the essence of what has always been a part of that series of games, right? Yo, what up, Soup? What's going on, friendo? How you doing, buddy? Happy Sunday, man. Happy Sunday. Hope your weekend's going well, man. It's good to see you, dude. So I think that this is not a bad statement, but I think for me personally, it needs to be fleshed out a little bit, and people need to understand that. I think one of the reasons that Final Fantasy 16 didn't do fantastic was the fact that it wasn't really a traditional Final Fantasy game. It was a more like a action hack and slash type of game, like Devil May Cry or Bayonetta, that they put a Final Fantasy skin on. There was some chocobos in there. They put the summons in, the iconic summons, which they called icons from for this entry of the series, like Ifrit and Shiva and Bahamut and all of those. The core of what makes Final Fantasy was stripped away. And that's not what's going to work there. You've got a huge fan base around this series. And I'm not saying that the game was a poorly developed game. I think that it was a well-developed game. I'll say this, personally, I don't want to play a game that has as much, if not maybe even more cutscenes and cinematics in it than it does playtime, which Final Fantasy 16 had. Final Fantasy 16 had a stupid amount of cutscenes and cinematics in it, to where half of the time you're actually just watching a show rather than playing a video game. I don't want that. If I want to watch a show, I'll go watch a show on a streaming service or something. The cinematics can be fantastic. I think they add a great element to video games for immersion and storytelling, but I don't want it to be half of the gameplay experience. That is actually terribly molding to me for playing a video game. So I think there are things about what they did with Final Fantasy 16 that resulted in it not being a great selling game, because a lot of the people that found out, a lot of the traditional Final Fantasy fans found out it wasn't truly a Final Fantasy game. So I think there's something to be said for challenging what's been done before, but also sticking fairly close to making sure you're including the core of what's made these series and these games, you know, what they've always been. You can't strip away the essence of what's made these games so fantastic in the first place and what's drawn so many people to them. You strip that away, it's not that game anymore. So it doesn't mean things can't change and they can't evolve, but you also can't just totally rip away everything that's made the game so iconic and such a core pieces of the game. You know, Final Fantasy's always been a role-playing game. It's always had great, fairly deep role-playing kinds of, you know, party management stuff in the game, things of that nature, and they just stripped most of it away for Final Fantasy 16, and a lot of traditional fans noticed it. They noticed it. So I think that this isn't a bad statement, but you got to be careful here as well. So while I'm certainly not looking to pick a fight with the older games, we all make Final Fantasy games thinking mine will be the most fun. Quote, so my advice is to just dive in and first put down on paper what you believe would be the most enjoyable Final Fantasy before thinking too hard about it. Then from there, you can decide things like, since 16 was real-time action, my Final Fantasy is going to have both real-time combat and turn-based battles. Or you could go to the other extreme and return to the series fully to turn-based pixel art roots. But you just have to sit down and think about what you're going to spend years of your life on, what experience you want your players to have, and what it is you want the fans to be playing. There's a second expansion that's been revealed coming to Final Fantasy 16 on PS5 this year as well. So, I don't think it's a bad move to have younger creators take the lead on the next Final Fantasy entry, but they have to get back to what this game is always supposed to have been about. They tried to totally change basically the genre of what this game is, and that's not a good look. They just put a Final Fantasy skin on a Devil May Cry game, basically. And while it looked good and it played well, it's not Final Fantasy. It's not Final Fantasy. The game feels meh? Really? Yeah, I knew that Prince of Persia was a Metroidvania. That's one of the reasons I'm interested in it. I've already talked about it quite a bit. I don't think you do something like... it's fine if they want to do something like Final Fantasy 16, but you don't call it Final Fantasy. That's the problem. They wanted to make a game that wasn't Final Fantasy, but call it Final Fantasy, and that was the problem. So you're saying maybe do something like Final Fantasy 16 once in a while? That's fine. They do that. They do things like that. That's one of the problems with so many people, being at the head of that Final Fantasy 16 development team, which was like Team Ninja people, right? That's what they're normally doing. Team Ninja does games like, the Devil May Cry stuff and the, Bayonetta type games and things. So they basically took what they knew how to do and they put a Final Fantasy skin on it. And it doesn't work like that. For those long-running, iconic IPs, that people, are traditionally going to be looking for specific things to be a part of those games. That's why I don't think, the game was not nearly as lucrative as they expected it to be. When they release a Final Fantasy game, they expect it to sell very, very well, and it didn't. And I think that's the reason why. Yeah, Prince of Persia. I mean, I love Metroidvanias, dude. Just isn't GTA. Yeah, Prince of Persia demo is out. I don't really want to play the demo. Well, we've already looked at a lot of reviews. Reviews right now from critics are pretty good, but there's always that sense of maybe it's being skewed because Ubi has critics in their pocket, or is paying them off, if you will, greasing the old palms, you know. So right now, the critic reviews for Prince of Persia are they're actually looking pretty decent. We've already looked at this a little bit. You know, it's an 86 right now of 66 critic reviews. It's pretty good. But I mean, I do think that you've got to be prepared for the fact that this is going to be a Metroidvania game, which is why I'm interested in it. I'm not an Ubisoft fan. I haven't been for quite some time now. But I am considering playing this. But I'm going to wait until I see what users are actually saying about the game too. I'm not just going to rely on critic reviews on this one. Ubisoft is a huge company. I don't necessarily trust every critic review coming in on this to not be biased a little bit, because it is such a large corporation's release. And but the game looks good to me. It looks good to me. It is a genre that really fits my interests a lot, and it looks pretty well developed, honestly. So I don't know. I think that it depends on you know, everybody's got different preferences and stuff. Some people don't really enjoy Metroidvanias that much. You know, the whole 2.5D platforming Metroidvania kind of, a lot of people tend to get turned off by the complexities of, oh well, I've hit a wall. Hollow Knight is one of the best in my opinion. It's one of the best ever made, which is why there's so much hype around Silksong, which is Team Cherry is the developer behind Hollow Knight. Silksong is their successor, their next entry that's supposed to have been coming our way for quite some time, and we still don't have it. We all want Silksong to be... There's a lot of expectations for Silksong, and the it's a rough go, because we thought we would already have Silksong by now. It actually was, we were told we would already have Silksong by now, and we don't. So there's a lot of kind of heightened anticipation and us going, where is it? But we also don't want to push Team Cherry too hard, because we want the game to be very good. You know what I mean? Hollow Knight is one of the best Metroidvanias I've ever played. You know, it's fantastic. It's phenomenal. We actually streamed it in the first year of the channel being live, and it's not the game that got me turned on to Metroidvanias. The game that got me turned on to Metroidvanias was an old game on PS1, Castlevania Symphony of the Night, and but Hollow Knight is phenomenal, dude. It's phenomenal. There are some people that don't really deal with Metroidvanias well. Metroidvanias are those games where, you know, you can hit progression walls easy if you're not paying enough attention to how you know, really good Metroidvanias give you detailed maps that allow you to mark places on the map and things like that, because it's all about exploring, and then you have to backtrack because you'll get gate kept from progression on certain parts of the map until you get abilities or, you know, certain kinds of tools or functions for the playthrough after beating normally bosses and things like that, right, that allow you to progress further. And there are people that don't necessarily enjoy the complexities of that, where it's like, you know, they get gate kept. They don't, you know, they don't enjoy the whole, well, I've got to figure out how to get past this point and stuff like that. So I don't know. The Metroidvanias for me, I love them. I love Metroidvanias, but they're not everybody's jam, and I respect that. But you know, that might not be exactly, you know, what the case is here for you either. You know, if you're just talking about Prince of Persia is just not feeling good. I mean, what do you mean by not feeling good? Is it just, you know, you played the demo, it's like just not real responsive, it feels sluggish or clunky, or the combat? What about it? I mean, the scores right now are pretty solid, which is a good look, but I want user scores, not just critic scores on this. One or two animations repeating and platforming is fun. That would probably change. I think you actually, I think in, because you're going to end up getting, I think, different weapons, you're able to upgrade your weapons and your abilities. As you get more weapons, you get more abilities, you power them up and things like that. I think that's where you're going to start getting different kinds of combos and attacks to work in and things like that. So if it was just a very basic, very quick look at what the game had to offer, that might be a bit of a short-sighted view at what the combat has to offer. That's the way those games also usually play out. It feels a little bit maybe limited combat-wise to begin with, but as you continue to cut out the boss, yeah, well, it is a demo. So I mean, sometimes demos will give you like the first boss or something, but yeah, it just depends on how much they want to let you taste, right? So we'll see. Usually those kinds of games, though, it can feel a little bit limited to begin with, but as you continue to progress, you get more weapons, you get more abilities, you get more power-ups for those weapons and abilities. They flesh out, you get more combos. Oh, it just shows you the first boss, you can't go to defeat it. Did you refund the demo, dude? So it might feel a little bit better if you were able to play like the full game and get a little bit further into it, you know. Let's see what we got. Gears of War collection being tested now, it's claimed. For a while now, Gears of War fans have been on the edges of their seats, waiting eagerly for news of the Gears collection, and much rumored reportedly in development collection of classic Gears of War games created in Unreal Engine 5. Soup. Recently, during an episode of the Infinite podcast, it was claimed that the Gears collection is being internally tested by the Coalition, which has been creating Gears of War games since 2015's Ultimate Edition of the first title. Gears of War's MCC. It's been said online that the Gears collection would be Gears of War's Master Chief collection, bringing together all the classic games and seeing them remastered or potentially rebuilt. There isn't much known about the collection, but it's suspected that it will include the Ultimate Edition, Gears 2, 3, 4, and Judgment recreations. This information was circulated on Twitter by user Idle Sloth, following a captured clip from the Infinite podcast during an episode which also saw claims surfaced that 343 Industries has had a hand in working on the Indiana Jones game. It was further claimed that the Coalition continues to work on all new IP away from Gears of War. It's not at all known when the highly rumored Gears collection might surface, but if it's being tested now, it's in a playable state, and if those playtests go well, could be delivered within the next few months. Interesting. Cool. Classic Star Wars game returns on PS5 and PS4. What do we have here? Starting January 16th, PlayStation players who are subscribed to PS Plus can grab Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, the video game adaptation of the heavily criticized prequel film. Of course, the film follows the plot of the film. Excuse me. I think this was supposed to say the game follows the plot of the film. The film should follow the plot of the film. You know, that makes sense. But the game should also follow the plot of the film comic book. So you can expect to battle Darth Maul as Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi, as well as other key events in the film. It is, however, a non-linear story, and there are side quests to participate in, so you may get some more mileage out of it than your ordinary film-to-game adaptation. Game has a 7.1 average user on Metacritic. Seems to have a decent reception from fans, so if you want to catch up on Star Wars games, maybe worth a worth game to add to your library. Official descriptions below. Just so you know, this is hitting on January 16th. Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace on PS Plus. Alright? I'll link it for you. Suicide Squad, please be good. I want it. I will comment on that. I want every game to be good. Perfect world. Every game released would be phenomenal, and we would never feel like companies were trying to get over on us monetization wise, and everything would be, you know, we wouldn't have to deal with proprietary bullcrap, you know. So I think that my advice would be, I want every game to be good, but I'm also a realist, you know. I probably come off as a cynic quite often, but I feel like I really just try to approach these situations more as a realist for everything that I've experienced and educated myself on as far as the video game industry is concerned. And I have been very worried about Suicide Squad for a long time. And I think that everything we're already seeing come out of what Suicide Squad is, and I've said this time and time again, people should be hesitant about that game. I don't think anybody should be pre-ordering that game. I don't think anybody should be buying that game on release date. I think people should be waiting to see what maybe reviews say. Because right now we're getting early reviews already that are saying, meh, it's like mediocre at best. So, you know, a game like that, a AAA price tag, $70 for the base game US, $100 US for the be a final beta tester version, get in 3 days early, and then it's just riddled with battle pass and, you know, other monetization crap inside. And then we know that, you know, it's gonna be nonstop. And does that necessarily affect the gameplay experience? No. But does it feel good? No, it doesn't. And so far what we've heard is what you can expect from that game on release, from what people have been saying that have gotten their hands on early versions, is the cutscenes are good. They're pretty entertaining, but the combat gets pretty repetitive. You're basically just doing the same thing over and 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 over. So it might feel fairly engaging at first and entertaining at first, but I think it's going to quickly lose its edge, and you're going to start feeling like all you're doing is the same crap all the time, you know. Baldur's Gate 3 is good, but it's not something I can get into long term. I understand that notion too. Look, you know, before I started streaming, I found it very, very hard. I'm trying to catch up on so many RPGs, big RPGs, because I had a very hard time keeping track of where I was in games, because it was really hard for me to find time to just sit down and play games for a lengthy amount of times. I got to where basically my life was so busy with family and work and stuff like that, that I needed games that I could pick up and put down fairly easy. So that's why I started playing a lot of Rocket League and games like that. And it wasn't because I didn't have interest in, you know, RPGs and things of that nature, because RPGs have always been my bread and butter, man. But it was like anytime I would try to play an RPG, I would get a little ways into it, and then I would have to take an extended time away from it because I just wouldn't have time to dive into it for a while. And then when I would try to go back and get into it again, I would be kind of lost as to where I was going, what I was doing, you know what I mean? And it felt bad. I hated doing that, you know, losing my immersion, losing my way in the game, stuff like that. I hated that, man. So I know those feels. Classic Star Wars games return on PS5. Yeah, that's the one we just talked about. So Steam Deal makes over 20 games under $1 each. This is going to be from Fanatical. We already saw that it was a Fanatical thing. Build your own winter bundle, huh? It got blocked on me. Hold on. Let me see if I can pull this up. Stop that. Where is this? Build your own winter bundle, dude. So, one game for $1, five games for $2.99, or 10 games for $4.99. You can see it right here. So you get to pick out of these, all of these games right here, and Golf It. I Am Fish looks hilarious. Lawn Mowing Simulator, Double Pack Grip and Artifacts, The Wild 8, Just Die Already looks super wild. What is the OTTTD, One More Line, and Square Death Triple Pack? God Strike, Hammer Watch, Golf Club Nostalgia, Wind Ward, The Long Reach, Hands Necromancy. What is this? One More Island, Headbangers Holiday Hell, Blood and Zombies, Slap City, Summer Catcher, Stranger, Suzy Cube, Heartwood Heroes, Gunscape, Super Knight Riders, Card City Knights, Talk to Strangers. Oh, Talk to Strangers and Hung Fu Kickball are sold out already. So those won't be able to, you won't be able to grab those. But these games right here can be had at a pretty low price point. Of looking up how long you have left in a game. I mean, it's not something I normally do, but I've had to do it from time to time. I don't know. I don't think it's necessarily good or bad. You know, it just depends on, you know, everybody's own situation. What, you know, for me personally, as long as I'm not spoiling myself, then, you know, it's just something sometimes I need to do to try to, because we try to stick to a pretty nice schedule, right? So there's that link. I'll just link this as well. I kind of gave you exactly what they were going to talk about in this article, so there you go. You know, we try to stick to a pretty decent schedule here, and there will be occasions where maybe I'm locked up in a playthrough, and I'm not sure how much time I have left in it, but we're anticipating another game releasing, and we want to play it on release or something like that. So I might look up how many chapters or whatever are in the game, so I get a sense of where I'm at compared to, you know, how much time I have left. But usually what I do is I just look up about how much time it would take me to finish a game up in total, and I know, you know what I mean, roughly where I'm at anyways. So yeah, I mean, I don't think it's good, or, you know, it's necessarily bad per se. So it's it just depends, you know. For me, I'm just one of those people that, like, I don't look up information about games specifically. I don't like to look up information about that would be considered spoiler. You know, I don't want to look up information that tells me how to get things done in a game or where to find things in a game or anything like that. So as long as I'm not spoiling myself on a game, if I need to know maybe how much, you know, how far along I am in a game from time to time or whatever, You know, sometimes even chat will help me out with that. They'll be like, oh, you know, that it looks like you're about 2/3 the way through, I think, if I remember correctly, or something like that. And, you know, it's cool. It's no big deal. You know, as long as I'm not spoiling myself, then for me personally, that's fine. Everybody has kind of a different view on that kind of stuff, but for me, that's the way I approach it. Call of Duty Warzone walks back controversial new feature before it's even released. Covert Exfils will be given its own Warzone game mode. Warzone is already getting rid of a new feature before it has released. Call of Duty is a game that lives or dies by its players. It is consistently evolving and changing based on the feedback of players. For years, we have seen players abusing metas, complaining about certain weapons, and more. Players have also asked for certain features and more, but it's all on the developers to figure out what is worthy feedback and what is just noise. Still, sometimes it results in some puzzling design decisions the community can't fully wrap its head around. Earlier this week, it was announced that Call of Duty Warzone would add a new way to win a match. Players would be able to get a large sum of money and then head to a buy station to buy a covert exfil. Only 5 of these would be available each match, but it would allow you the chance to escape the battle at any point and stay alive. In theory, this was to allow people to find and secure weapon cases, another new feature, but players found it to be a strange decision. Felt like Modern Warfare 2's DMZ was finding its way into Warzone, and players began to question why they wouldn't just continue to support DMZ if it was going to bleed into Warzone. With that said, Raven is now walking back its decision before it was even added to the game. Quote, over the last few days, we've seen your feedback about the Covert Exfil feature and have decided not to launch it in Standard Battle Royale with Season 1 Reloaded next week. We believe that Covert Exfil and the gameplay loop it provides, paired with the weapons case, will make for an exciting addition to Warzone. That said, we'll instead launch both of these features in an upcoming dedicated mode. We're looking forward to the new challenges that these features will provide and to your continued feedback once the mode is available. As of right now, we have no idea when Raven will launch this new mode that supports covert exfils, but it may not be until Season 2 or later. It could require a lot of extra work, but we'll just have to wait and see. Either way, it's good to see Raven is listening to fans and making sure they don't degrade the experience that players already love. Yeah, Call of Duty. Call of Duty. Bunch of duty. Everything we know about Luigi's Mansion 2 HD. Here you go, Soup. Here you go. This is for you, buddy. Woo. Woo, COD. Woo. So excited. Call of Duty, so excited. Jesus. Can't you see the excitement in my face and hear it in the inflection in my voice? Well, Call of Duty. I'm so excited. All right, let's go. Everything we know about Luigi's Mansion 2 HD. Luigi's Mansion is an iconic series made by Nintendo. Many people would argue that Luigi's Mansion is the best spin-off series in the Mario world. The games put players in the shoes of the infamous Luigi, who is tasked with getting rid of various ghosts that are in a mansion, as the name suggests. Now, in 2024, Nintendo plans to release an HD remake of the popular Luigi's Mansion 2, and here's everything we know about it. First released for the GameCube back in 2001, Luigi's Mansion instantly became a hit. It was given the task of eradicating a mansion full of ghosts. The gameplay was unique, especially with all the other Mario spin-offs that had been released before it. It was a completely new style of gameplay for Mario players, as it introduced a light horror element. Gamers would have to explore eerie buildings while solving various puzzles and capturing multiple ghosts. After the game's release, many people immediately wanted more. Since then, the game has had 2 more titles added, with 1 arcade game and 1 remake also added to the list. Is Luigi's Mansion 2 HD a remake? A lot of people have questioned whether or not Luigi's Mansion 2 HD is a remake or not. As the name suggests, though, the game is an HD remake of the original title that was released on the Nintendo 3DS back in 2013. The new version will have updated graphics, making it optimal for the Switch, which will allow players to explore the same buildings but on a different level using high-definition TVs. The original game was called Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, but it was the second title ever released for the series, making it Luigi's Mansion 2. Whether or not there will be extra levels is unknown, but the main aspect that sells the game is the fact that it will have graphics that will blow the original 3DS version out of the water. As of right now, Nintendo's official website reads that Luigi's Mansion 2 HD will be released in 2024. That is the extent of the information they have provided, though. We can expect that Luigi will be voiced by Chris Pratt. No news has been released by them on whether it will be late or early 2024. Nintendo is also pretty good at preventing leaks, so we'll be We more than likely will not know a definitive release date or release window until they announce it themselves. Yeah. Okay. Be rated E for everyone, man. Multiplayer, we'll see. Won't be released on anything else besides Nintendo. We all know that. All right. If you need more, here you go. Last article I have for the day, dude. It's a quick news segment for the morning. Sundays can tend to be like that, man. So quite often, anyways. Not all the time, but quite often. So we got a quick news segment this morning, and that's cool, man. We'll just get in and start playing some FPS stuff and drinking a bunch of coffee and waking up. You know what I'm saying? So this is the last thing we have. It's unfortunately another terrible thing to have to discuss and address in our news segments and the world of video games. As another studio is shutting down, more people are getting laid off or fired, and being without jobs. And let's go ahead and dive in here, I guess. Double Loop Games is closing down after 4 years. So on January 12th, it was announced that Double Loop Games was shutting down after 4 years. CEO and founder of Double Loop Games, Emily Greer, announced the news on LinkedIn in a lengthy post. She said she was proud of the team, culture, and games they have built. Double Loop Games shut down after 4 years. Emily Greer was the CEO and co-founder of Congregate, which is a gaming portal, along with her brother Jim Greer. In 2019, she stepped down from her role at Congregate, and she and Shelby Moladina would build Double Loop Games. Double Loop Games is a mobile game studio that was started in 2020. According to Game Developer, in 2020 and 2021, Double Loop Games accumulated about $10.5 million across 2 investment rounds. According to the CEO of Double Loop Games, Emily Greer, the reason that they are closing down is because the funding and marketing environment for mobile games has been very hostile. Quote, unfortunately, like many other small studios in 2023, we struggled to break through in a very hostile funding and marketing environment, particularly for mobile games. In November, we received an offer from Scopely to bring on most of the team to work on a new project within their casual GSN studio and decided to accept. Even though they accepted an offer from Scopely, unfortunately not all of their members were included because those particular roles were already filled. Scopely is a mobile game developer and publisher that has developed and published games such as Bingo Bash, Monopoly Go, Yahtzee with Buddies, and so much more. Co-CEOs Emily Greer and Shelby Moladina will both be taking some extended time off. Emily will be going on a trip to Australia and New Zealand, while Shelby will be writing and directing a short film. Emily also thanked friends, family, team members, investors, and business partners who supported and believed in them. At least it does sound like most of the team here is moving over to work for Scopely. But to all the ones that have lost their roles, their jobs, hopefully they find something new, more fulfilling, and better sometime very, very soon. I do hope so. And my flippin' Firefox is going to drive me nuts today, apparently. What in the crap? My music doesn't want to work right this morning. Sorry, guys. Let's get it popping, then we'll segue out of here. Let's see if that'll keep going for us. You guys rock, man. Happy flipping Sunday. Hope everybody's having a great weekend. Hope you're staying warm because, dude, it is cold. I mean, it is a winter flipping wonderland out there. Like, it makes me just want to drink hot chocolate and coffee, watch some Krampus. You know what I'm saying? Dude, right now for me, let me just give you the weather real quick. You know, it is negative 15 degrees Fahrenheit. Feels like negative 38 with the wind chill. The wind chill is so bad that it's making it feel like it is 23 degrees colder than it already is. and it's cold enough without that wind chill. So I'll be staying inside all day. Okay, not that that's outside of the norm, but there is some really nasty cold weather throughout the world right now. And if you're dealing with it, I hope that you're staying warm and safe and not having to go anywhere, because it's brutal right now. I hope you guys are all doing well. You guys mean a significant amount to me. I appreciate everybody for just being who you are, the amazing people you are, being a huge part of what we do here, helping to create such an amazing community. And we'll go play some games for the rest of the day. So it'll just be a cool, chill FPS Sunday, man. We'll have some fun. Hope you guys weekend's going well again. And I don't know if anybody's been able to check this out either live or as a VOD later on. This is what we do. We always start off with video gaming news. This is a bit of a short segment. Normally they go a little bit longer, but we start off our streams 6 days a week this exact same way. We always dive into trying to find pertinent articles and stories, information about the video gaming industry that has cropped up over the past 24 hours since we did our last news segment, to try to stay current on what's happening within the industry, promote a healthier video gaming industry for us as gaming enthusiasts and consumers. And you know, after we finish this up, we always go and play games for the rest of the day. We've got an amazing community of people here that are always promoting and cultivating a community centered around being welcoming and inviting and wholesome, and we have a good time, lots of laughs, but just trying to be void of negativity and toxicity, and trying to be civil about things. That it's not that we don't ever disagree on stuff, it's just trying to address those things that we might not see eye to eye on in a civil manner, things like that. So if you can dig that, come be a part of what we do. We're always looking for more cool, chill peeps to be a part of what we do here, man. Other than that, I guess just stay healthy, stay safe, be kind to one another, stay warm, and we will do this again tomorrow for January 15th edition of Video Gaming News. I'm not going anywhere. Stream's not going down. I'm going to run us an outro real quick to sum up this video gaming news segment, but as soon as this outro is finished, I'll be right back, and we will start getting ready to play some video games.